Hello. Just to show that Readings from the Pavilion End occasionally does what it says on the tin, here is another piece from my blog, From the Pavilion End. I told a friend the other day that I'd started a podcast, and she rather suspiciously asked if it was all about cricket. I said, of course not, all sorts of other stuff. Then she said, what's so special about cricket anyway? And I said, how long have you got? Well, then I realised all she needs to do is listen to the podcast. And this is a piece written or published on 19th of August 2017. You have to bear in mind that I haven't updated it for the purposes of this reading. So, as many of you will know, Joe Root is no longer captain of the England cricket team, and as almost everybody will know, Roger Federer has retired as a tennis player. Anyway, it's called Why We Watch Cricket. When play started on the fourth day of the second test between England and Australia at Edgbaston in 2005, the match situation was not what you would call finely balanced. Australia, set 282 to win, were 175 for 8. Tail-enders Shane Warne and Brett Lee were batting, with only last man Mike Kasparovich to come. The match could literally have been all over in 2 balls, yet a substantial crowd turned up to watch. Indeed, before long, there was more or less a full house. By definition, most of them must have been English, and, somewhat paradoxically, they must have been hoping that the entertainment would be over as soon as possible. In the event, of course, the game went down to the wire, England winning by 2 runs. The game was one of the most exciting test matches of all time. The victory was special because, although they had lost the first test at Lord's, there was a perception that Michael Vaughan's England side was ready to give Ricky Ponting's Australians a run for their money. They did indeed regain the Ashes. The last day of the series, the 5th at the Oval, was very different in tone from that 4th day at Edgbaston. England were batting to save the game, but they did have one thing in common. A large number of the predominantly home crowd would have welcomed play being curtailed at the Oval by rain to help ensure a draw. At any sporting event, most, all of the people watching will be there because they want their team or their favourite player or the horse they backed to win. Naturally, there are always going to be a few neutral observers, but it is in the nature of sport that even the most objective of bystanders is likely to be swept along in one direction or another. Cricket is unusual in a number of respects. The thing which marks it out from most other sports is that at the professional and international level, it has 3 different formats, each recognisably the same game, but also quite distinct from one another. There is no doubt that the most popular form of the game is T20. You are guaranteed a result in little more than 3.5 hours, and lots of 4s and 6s. Many of the players' special skills and speed of decision are best viewed in this format. There are technical niceties too, for those who are interested in such things. As the cliché has it, every ball is an event. 50-over cricket has many, if not all, of these same advantages, in particular, of course, the fact that, weather permitting, you'll get a result in a single day. Test cricket is different. Time is the thing. Lots of people love going to the first day of a test match. 90,000 will regularly turn up in Melbourne at Boxing Day. There is a special frisson about the first day of a Lord's test match, but nobody expects to see a result. In tennis, a Grand Slam takes a fortnight, not just 5 days. But that's a bit different. If you spend a day at Wimbledon, you will see one or more complete matches. They may or they may not have an impact on the championship, but that is not the point. If you follow a particular flight for a day at St Andrews, you will watch a complete, as it were, a self-contained contest. If you spend a day at a test match, on the other hand, you have no idea what might be in store. You might have the chance to see 13 different batters, or more, but you might just see 2. The other characteristic that distinguishes cricket from most other games is that, although it is a team sport, 11 against 11, its constant central element is an individual, almost gladiatorial struggle between batter and bowler. Thus it is that many of the crowd will not only be supporting one team or the other, but will be very keen to watch a particular player. Here again, it doesn't always work out that way. In a test match, if you spend a day at Wimbledon intending to watch Roger Federer play, that, barring weather or injury, is what you will do. You will watch Federer play. He might not win, you can't do everything, but at the worst, you will be able to watch him on court for a reasonable period of time, doing what he does best, even if, on the day in question, he happens not to do it especially well. But Test cricket is different. If you go to Lord's to watch Joe Root bat, you might be lucky, but you might not. England might spend the whole day in the field. You can watch your hero all day, standing at second slip and waving his arms around, directing the fielders. Even if England are batting, he might be out first ball. As with all sports, whether team or individual, it is the player's personal skills that give the game real spectator appeal. In special cases, this can be taken to an extreme level. This was the case with cricket's 2 most iconic figures, Don Bradman of Australia and the Indian Sachin Tendulkar. People would go to watch them bat, and once they were out, they would leave. Nothing else mattered. Watching batsmen appeals partly from a purely aesthetic point of view, and partly because cricket is so revelatory of character and personality. There really are all sorts and conditions of batters. There is the languid elegance of David Gower, the studious determination of Sunil Gavaskar, the bullying pragmatism of Graham Smith, the strangely balletic lumberings of Inzamam ul Haq. They are all doing the same thing, trying to hit a ball with a bit of wood, but they find wonderfully different ways of doing it. With bowlers, it's a bit different. So often in one-day cricket, they seem to be cannon fodder. But there are 2 types of bowler that will excite any crowd, partly because of their rarity: genuinely fast bowlers and wrist spinners. In the recent past, the South African Dale Steyn has been the most skillful and successful fast bowler around, but the most exhilarating on his day was the Australian left-armer Mitchell Johnson. No one who saw his demolition of Alistair Cook's stumps at the Adelaide Oval in December 2013 is likely to forget it. For wrist spin in the modern era, the outstanding exponents have been Abdul Qadir and Shane Warne. Qadir was a wizard. He had all the variations, but Warne was the master. He thought batsmen out, and he had an amazing sense of theatre. He was fascinating to watch, the walk towards the crease, leading to 3 or 4 paces run, the pivot and the powerful turn of shoulder and wrist as the ball was released. Even in a still photograph, you can almost hear it fizzing in the air. The drift and the dip, the precision landing of the ball, the turn and the bounce, the befuddled face of a defeated batter, and all of it repeated endlessly, over after over. Gideon Haigh once asked Warne what he missed most during his year-long drugs ban from cricket. Haigh was expecting a facile response like, hanging out with my mates. In fact, Warne said he missed turning up for a day's play and simply having no idea what was going to happen. It's a bit like that for us spectators too. Of course, all sport is unpredictable, otherwise what is the point? But cricket, especially 5-day cricket, with its tantalising equation of runs, wickets, weather and time, and the infinite scope that time gives for ebb and flow, can be peculiarly hard to call. Not infrequently, a match can enter its final stages with all 4 results possible. Even in a 5-day match, every ball is an event, and it might be a critical one. In A Beautiful Game, Mark Nicholas tells a great story about an incident in a county match between Hampshire and Somerset. Viv Richards was batting and facing the great West Indies and Hampshire fast bowler Malcolm Marshall. In the middle of an over, Richards suddenly left the crease and ran off towards the sight screen at the bowler's end. Just to the right of the sight screen, a male spectator was sitting, reading his newspaper. Richards loudly berated him for not paying attention to the top-class entertainment being provided in the middle before going back to resume his innings. To be fair to the gentleman in question, a day at the cricket is a fairly significant commitment. Even the keenest devotee is likely to miss the occasional ball. There are long gers, particularly between balls when a fast bowler is on. There is the break at the end of an over, when in a pleasingly geometric ritual, wicketkeeper and slips trot to the other end, and the other fielders and the umpires change position. All this takes a little while, and one can just get distracted. Another glass or a cup of tea, a chat about this and that, focusing the binoculars on that attractive figure in the grandstand. It's actually quite easy to miss something. You hear the roar and see the batter tuck his bat under his arm and walk. For the brilliant catch, however, you are dependent on the replay on the big screen. Among the natural breaks is the fall of a wicket. A wicket is always a major spectacle, but you also want to see the victim departing to the pavilion and to celebrate or commiserate as the case may be, and you want to see his successor coming out. For some, Richards in particular, the walk to the crease was part of the drama. And after the match or the day, there are the memories and the conversations and the reports. Some other sports have produced literature, splendid literature. Boxing and horse racing stand out, but few games seem to lend themselves to fine writing in the way that cricket has always done. And then there is the talk. Andrew Lang put it best. There is no talk, none so witty and brilliant, that it is so good as cricket talk, when memory sharpens memory, and the dead live again, and the old happy days of burned-out tunes revive. Of course, even I have to admit, it's not everyone's cup of tea. There is a story of Groucho Marx being invited to watch a match at Lord's. After sitting attentively for 40 minutes or so, the fabled comic turned to his host with a quizzical expression on his face. "When do they start?" Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Please subscribe, and you can do that by looking at the website where you found this. Recommend to your friends, and I'm more than happy to take requests. Thank you.